Could you use a little bit more wit and whimsy in your life? I know I could. Some catchy tunes with a distinctive talk singing style to them? Well, then you need Cheekface. Cheekface is an indie band from Los Angeles, formed around 2017, and very quickly after they started, their songs started to get some attention on the internet. Songs like Dry Heat, Nice Town started to spread and build them a big following, and they've released several albums and EPs and tour, and in fact, they're going to be touring later this year and releasing a new album this summer called Podium. So I am excited to welcome them in the conversation, learn a little bit more about their start, their beginnings, and then, of course, we got to dig into the past and learn about what made them the musicians, the artists, the creatives that they are today by finding out their waterproof records. So it's time to talk to Cheekface. Let's go.
Things are going to change. I can feel it.
If this going to be that kind of party, I'm going
Waterproof Records. Waterproof Records. Waterproof Records with Jacob Gibbons.
Before we get started with the interview, you see that I'm sipping out of quite the delightful Waterproof Records mug. Yes, this is my custom mug from the show. I have all sorts of fun things that you can get on my Dashery store. So if you've never visited there before, I've got Waterproof Record shirts, some that reference bands and music and just some quirky things. So you should maybe pick up an item, support the show. And of course, I got to tell you about distrokid.com/VIP/waterproof. That's my special link that you use to get your music uploaded, and you save 30% for your first year uploading your music on distrokid.com/VIP/waterproof. Save that money. Get your music out there. Let the world hear what you're working on. I use it. You should use it too. We've done all the pleasantries, the upfronts, and now we're going to get to the conversation. I am welcoming Greg Katz, Mark Edwards, Echo, and Amanda Tannen, Mandy. Cheekface, welcome to Waterproof Records.
Hello.
Yay! You are breaking records here. I've never had 3 guests on the show at the same time, especially on this couch. So,
Well, we're happy to break in your couch with your first foursome.
yes, I love it. And they came bearing gifts. Look at this. I got an official Cheekface hat, so I'm stoked to have this in the collection now. It looks really good too. It's very, very LA.
Oh,
Very LA.
Really?
Is that good?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. Doesn't that feel very LA to you? Like that, even the lettering?
I do think it was originally inspired by like a taco shop sign. I was
Yeah.
like, Mandy, what if we did something like a taco shop sign? And
Yeah.
that's like what you ran with.
And
but then it was like, it turned into like beer garden.
yeah.
And then I was like, no, we need to make it less beer garden. And then I chose colors that were like less beer garden-y.
Yeah.
But the typeface is kind of beer garden.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's really, really cool. And that actually introduces a good point, which is the album covers, as I was digging through your catalog, have a very consistent design and art style. And that's you, correct?
That's me, yeah.
That's you.
Yes.
Very, very cool.
Yeah, I'm actually working on our next single right now.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So, Cheekface, you guys have been going since 2017?
Yeah, that's when me and Mandy started writing songs. I just looked it up. It was like March of 2017, and then Echo started drumming on them in like September of 2017. We did the first gig at the beginning of 2018.
Yeah.
Now we're still here.
Yeah, I love that. Take me back to kind of the early stages of how this all comes together, of like the creative process. I believe you guys were working in graphic design and the friendship was formed.
Yeah, my wife at the time, girlfriend, I guess that's how it works. Usually someone's your girlfriend first before they're your wife.
I'd like to hear about a reverse situation. Wife first, then girlfriend.
Tracy, she's a graphic designer, and she knew Mandy through the graphic design scene, and was like, she would always tell me, oh, Mandy's a really talented musician, has been in some really great bands, like you guys should get together and play sometime. And we'd see each other around, and we'd always be like, we should play sometime. And then we saw each other at like a Wire show, I think at the Echoplex maybe, and then like we had the same conversation. Like anyone who's a musician is always like, you have all these people. You're like, we should get together and play sometime. We should write a song sometime. You just never do. Right. And then I think I was just like, how about tomorrow? And then like Mandy was like, how about in 2 days? And then we just started writing.
Yeah. That is the difference between everything that happens in this city or in the creative realms, which is, of course, you mention to people when you meet them all the time, we should get together, we should write, we should play music, and it never happens. It's just that person actually being like, tomorrow or the next day. So that's the secret, anybody out there trying to start a creative project. You have to actually commit to time, and then it happens.
And also, it's like that first step is the scariest step.
Yes.
So it's just kind of like being like, okay, I'm going to do it, and actually set a time.
Yeah.
And go and do it. It's so easy to just be like, tomorrow, next time. Yeah.
Yeah.
But to have someone be like, no, we're doing it. And you're like, okay.
Yeah. Did you guys know each other like pretty at a surface level at that stage, his friendship?
Yeah,
we're friends.
Yeah, we were friends. I was like more friends with his wife at the time. And now it's kind of swapped. But but yeah, I was closer to his wife. And we would go out dancing. I don't know if you remember. We would all kind of go out as a group dancing or go to like different shows together. Yeah.
You mentioned the bands. As I was doing my research, I was like, Stella Star? You played in Stella Star? I was like, My Coco? Yeah. I totally know that song. That was awesome.
That was me.
That was you on the bass.
I co-wrote all those songs too. So.
Did you?
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. We all wrote together as a band. It was one of those weird things.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure I had that CD.
Do you have the t-shirt in your t-shirt?
No, I don't. For those who've never seen me turn the camera, I have an absurd collection of band tees, concert tees, that's growing. It's literally like a Shel Silverstein poem of like, it's going to one day push me completely out of this room because it'll be completely unmanageable. But no, I don't have a Stella Star shirt.
Did you see us?
I never did. I never did. But that has to do, I think, a lot with, I arrived in LA in 2001 and not originally from here. And there's periods in your life when you will know this. I mean, some of you are from here, but when you're arriving in a city and you don't know what you're doing, some things take the back seat. And I think that there was definitely an era of my life where live music just was not the priority. I could barely, rub two coins together. So I was, I missed a lot of things that people were like, wait, you're telling me you missed Radiohead at the Troubadour? And I'm like, dude, I had no money. Yeah. It was a really, really hard time, you know? So, but not all of you are from LA, I don't believe, originally, right? Yeah.
I'm the only local.
You're the local. Yeah. Where'd you grow?
I grew up in New Jersey, New York.
Okay.
Brooklyn. Yeah. My Stella Star's Brooklyn. So like Brooklyn based. And started music. My music career was in Brooklyn first. And
awesome.
Came out here in 2011.
Yeah.
So
been here.
Gave up on music.
Yeah. Yeah, it came out here to I
came out here to give up on music, yeah.
And that's usually when the tide turns. It's the moment you give up that something happens. I am proof of that. I am literally, my story is I gave up and I said no more, and then I made a dumb video. Yep. So it is literally, it comes out of this place of not overthinking. And would you say that Cheekface, that there is something about that you guys were not like, we've got to make this thing, and that was the secret?
I think it's kind of the opposite. Like we were like, this is kind of a retirement band. Yeah. Like we're like, I mean, like Echo was playing in a lot of bands so he was not retired. He was the opposite of retired.
But I will say when it started happening, I was like, there's no way this will be a big time commitment. It's not gonna encroach on my other projects.
Totally.
Because I was like, Greg is so busy. Like this is just gonna be for fun on the side. And here we are now.
It was definitely something where like, me and Mandy were like, been in a lot of bands, done a lot of things, like, not trying to prove anything anymore. Like, we're just like music lifers. So like, of course we're going to like play more music because when you're a music lifer, you just keep going. Yeah. It was, I think, a surprise, as much a surprise to any of us that it would do anything that as it is to anyone else. Like, sometimes like you get those YouTube comments or this Instagram comments that are like, why do people care about this dumb band? And I see those comments on our stuff and I'm like, I don't know. It wasn't part of our plan. If you asked me if people were going to care about this band when we started it, I would have been like, no.
You're right.
Like,
right.
I think our kind of idea was like, we'd make one record together. Like, we had good chemistry. We started writing. And so we wrote a lot of songs. And then we're like, cool, we wrote a lot of songs. Let's go record them. And it was kind of like, we'll make a album, we'll put it on Bandcamp, we'll play a backyard show for our friends. And that's what that project was.
Yeah.
Was like a total surprise that like with like the second single we put out like off of that record that like the internet, like a certain sub corner of the internet was like, check that out.
Was that Dry Heat, Nice Town?
Yeah. And like then we were like, oh, I guess this will continue.
Yeah.
Like past like a backyard show and like a Bandcamp drop.
There's something about that. There's a secret wisdom that you can pass on to creatives and people that are coming up behind you, is you can say there's something about when you're not creating to get something out of it, that something changes. And I think that the authenticity of the people emerges in a way that you can't put in a bottle. You can't package that. Right?
Yeah. No,
Right.
You can't plan to be successful.
No. Right.
That's the antithesis.
Yeah.
When you're a creative, at least.
Yeah. The real you has to be seen. And I think that that's whatever it is, whenever we take away that pressure of like, I have to make it, or it has to be this, or I have this design or this idea or thing I'm supposed to imitate. People see that and they go, but the moment you're just like, I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
That is a phenomenon.
Yes.
It really is.
I think when Greg and I got together, it was about that. It was about like just having fun and not trying to be. For me, it was like, I don't want to be cool anymore. Like, I just want to have fun and not worry about it, and like, play music for music's sake. And and I guess people liked that.
Absolutely. We need it. And there's listening to your music, obviously the American talking legends of Lou Reed and the things that, Talking Heads, and there's Cake influence, there's all that in there. When you hear that, there's not a lot of artists or bands that decide to do that, and it becomes very lyric centric, heady thoughts. You think a lot while you're listening to the music. And that's what I thought was really cool. It's like clever, funny, and it's really a sign of where we are today with information coming from all sides. And that really does feel like what you're doing in those songs, is that it's like the way the human mind is working.
Yeah, thanks. I think that's, pretty much the MO of the band is like, is to deal with things as we are experiencing them, and kind of I think like none of the songs are supposed to like present a simple question and then present a simple answer.
Right.
I don't think that's like how we experience this confusing world that we live in.
Yeah.
And like, I think we experience it as all these kind of like half-chewed ideas and thoughts, and they scream into our phone at us as we flick through the feed, and and the things that are coming up next to each other they can be hilarious, they can be disturbing, like they can be a hilarious thing, then a disturbing thing, then an advertisement, and then your mom calls.
Absolutely.
And that like all happens in this little box, and that's like half of one's day.
Yes.
And like I think that was just like, we felt like that was the way to kind of process or document like how we were living life through this like weird, confusing human era that we're in, and weird, confusing American era that we're in. Like that seemed like the true thing that we could put into the music.
Yeah.
And it wasn't necessarily like, wasn't at all that we planned to write it that way. So we were kind of just writing it that way because that felt natural with how we were experiencing the world. And, I think like for some people, they see that like their own experience reflected back in that.
Yeah. I think it's very cool and interesting because we do truly live in a time where we were never meant to get that much information. You're supposed to be able to go to the bathroom and be quiet, right? Like that is supposed to be the way of the world. And I feel like I'm older than the three of you, but I clearly remember a time where we didn't have that option, where we weren't, accessed that easily and were able to see every piece of news and media around the world instantly, and so to live on the fence of that, to know what it was like before and know what it's like after, that you guys are capturing a snapshot of where kind of the psyche of the world is right now. And I think that's pretty cool.
Thanks.
Yeah. Let's go back to what the name of the podcast is, your waterproof record. And this is really where I get a chance, and you all three had really cool answers, and I'd love to even explore the multiples. It gives me a chance to kind of take you back to childhood, youth, emerging music tastes. And that's so much of what I'm doing when I make videos online, is it's like I'm taking people back to that moment that you can clearly remember, right? You up into a point, you heard what was on the radio or what your parents played or what was just like the regular everyday. And then somehow something falls in your lap. You see it, you hear it. It's either handed to you by an older, cooler kid, or something happens. So I'd love for each of you, and whichever would like to go first, I'd love to hear whichever one you want to talk about. And then we can also talk about one of the alternates if you'd like. So who would like to be up to bat first?
Echo, go first.
Echo, go first. All right.
Let's go.
Let's get the mic a little bit. Can we get it closer to you?
Get that mic in there,
Get
Echo.
right up in there.
Check 1, 2.
Yeah.
It's funny because what you're describing, I'm just like, how did you know that that's what happened to me? My waterproof record is Cake Fashion Nugget.
Yes.
Banger.
My sister, who was about 6 years older than me, when I was probably like 6th grade, was like, oh, I notice you're starting to get into music. And she was like, let me just like pass down a few gems. So she gave me like a collection of just like burnt CDs, all like handwritten track lists. And Fashion Nugget was one of those. And I remember being on a family vacation. We were camping, like my parents were like making dinner or something. And I was in the car with my Walkman and my headphones. And it was just like, what is this? Like I didn't know that lyrics could be this like funny, this absurd, also poignant. And it was like, I think it was the first time that I was like, oh, like it's okay for like music to be like weird. Mm-hmm. It was like, my dad listened to like a lot of Ray Charles, Simon and Garfunkel, like the Beatles, like the Eagles, like, and my mom was really big into classical music, but like alternative rock, indie rock just wasn't a part of like their musical understanding. And so, totally blew my mind. Also like I feel like I'm from Texas. I'm from Austin, Texas.
Oh.
So like the Willie Nelson cover, Sad Songs and Waltzes, is just like one of the most beautiful songs ever. And like such a cool cover. Stick Shifts and Safety Belts.
Yes.
Incredible song that I still love to put on in the car. Anyway, I'll since we have 3 people, I'll keep it short, but open my mind to a whole new world.
Well, I'm glad, and what you said, which was when I was describing, you're like, how did you know? That is a common thing that people say when I make things, is they go, why are you me? Or how are we the same person? And I think that there's a phenomenon that when we grew up in an analog world, you kind of felt like I'm the only one having these things happen, right? And now we have a place where I can literally say like, no, I also was sitting there and was like, and it was all through these things. It's not that we're the same person. It's just that music has a kind of a tidal wave to those of us who are like this. Not everybody is like this. Like people who come on this show, people who are in bands and play music and they can't stop. Like you guys can't stop playing music. You said when the project came together, you're like, we're going to do it no matter what. So we might as well. Right. And so these kind of people, when music hits us, the tidal wave is something that we all know exactly what that is, what that feeling is of like, my mind is going to explode. I love this so much. And I love that you're from Texas. I'm originally from Tulsa, Oklahoma. That's my originally born and raised hometown. So Willie Nelson, big part of my household growing up. And when I was a kid, my brother and I made fun of him all the time because like my mom listened to we did like my mom listened to classical, Beatles, and Willie, but he'd come on like, all the girls I loved before, right? And so we would make fun of him. And then the older I got, now you put on Stardust by Willie Nelson, I will weep. I will weep. I will just like, he takes me back. And it's like that Ratatouille moment where I'm suddenly like a kid with my brother and I'm just sitting there. So music has that power. But I loved your choice of Cake. I was happy to see Cake being on the list of one of the waterproof records.
I will say though, I feel like a lot of people make the comparison Cheekface to Cake. And I feel like it's funny because I don't think Greg and Mandy are ever thinking about Cake when they sit down to write.
No.
But it's a big one for me.
Yeah. And I think there's the problem of whenever you have any kind of style that is similar, people make these jumps over to it, right? They're like, oh, well, that. But there's so much more layered into what you guys are doing beyond Cake.
Yeah, I mean, the Cake is, I think, like, for people of a certain age, I feel like there's always one artist in the mainstream who's doing, like, just straight up, like, talk singing thing.
Yeah.
But that goes back, like, at least 100 years in American music.
Totally.
Like, if you're a certain age, like, Cake is that, like, mainstream talk singing rock band.
Yeah.
But, like, if you're 20 years younger, it's 21 Pilots.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, there you go.
You know, so it's like, and if you're, 10 or 20 years older, it's Talking Heads.
Lou Reed.
Yeah, if you're 20 years older than that, it's Lou Reed. So yeah, it's just like, it's Bob Dylan or it's Pete Seeger or like whoever, so it's, so it's just like, I think in a certain range of ages, like you're like, oh, a rock band and there's talking, it's Cake.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think that people latch onto things, and specifically people who were around when that was popular, who are verbal on the internet, are those people, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, and those are the worst.
I mean, we wouldn't shed the comparison. Like, Cake's a cool band. We'll take a comparison.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
okay,
Mandy, your turn.
My turn. Okay, my waterproof record. Goo by Sonic Youth.
Yes.
So I think we're probably around the same age. I might be older than you.
Okay. I don't.
So, right when CDs came out.
Okay, Grandma, let's get you to bed.
That's right. For my 15th birthday, my dad gave me his old stereo.
Okay.
And a CD player.
Nice.
And he bought me 10 CDs. This was a huge Christmas for me. 10
CDs. Maybe he had BMG or Columbia House mailing list.
He did, but that's not what he did. He went to Sam Goody.
Amazing.
Asked the workers at Sam Goody what his 15-year-old daughter, who's very artsy, would like.
Nice.
And he brought home 15 CDs.
Wow.
I'm sorry, 10 of 10. At the time, CDs were like $20 to $30.
Very
they were
expensive.
Not cheap.
Yes.
So this was huge. This was, a huge Christmas present for me. And he brought home Goo.
Yeah.
And at the time, I was a little I was artsy, but I was like orchestra nerd artsy. I loved anything classical. I including art, I was like still a little mini art girl who hadn't quite hit her like full on, rebellion yet. But these 10 CDs sure helped me. And Goo was one of them. And it was also I didn't realize, and I know this was a different era, that women could be musicians, rock musicians.
Yes.
They were always front people. They were singers. They were the front. They weren't musicians as part of a band. That was something that I didn't see and I didn't realize. So when I saw Goo and, with Kim Gordon, it was like, oh, she not only sings, but she also plays all these instruments also. She plays guitar, she plays bass, and she's an artist. Yeah. All of these things. And it was just kind of like, oh, this is something that is actually possible for me.
Yes.
And it really changed my view of what I could be as an artist. I actually didn't think I would ever be a musician. I went to art school. I went for visual arts. But I saw that she was a musician and an artist. And so I was like, oh, so I ended up playing, at the time I played cello in the orchestra. And my senior year, I switched to upright bass specifically because I was like, oh, maybe this is something, maybe I could be in a band, maybe. Like, maybe I'd be cool enough to be in a band. Yeah. But, like, it was never, ever, like, I'm going to be in a rock band, like, as a kid. That's not what I wanted to be. Wow. I wanted to be an artist, you know? Mm-hmm. But, yeah, Kim Gordon really, like, opened my eyes. Because she was just, like, this Renaissance woman that did fashion. She did art. She did, you know, it's just, like... really cool. And Goo, I was just like, I had green docs at the time, similar to these. Yes. And I was like, you know, the whole green underwear thing. I was like, yeah, green's my favorite color too. You know, it's just like in this very, very like teenage way, really helped shape my rebellion, I would say, against what I thought the norms of what a woman could do as an artist.
Yes, absolutely. And in the 90s specifically, we just had this run of females in rock bands that just blew the doors down for so many girls, like looking and being like, that's possible. And Kim Gordon, definitely. And what I love about Sonic Youth is for an art girl, that stuff is weird and dissonant and upside down. And so you're playing cello and classical orchestra, you know, you see somebody and you go, there are rules that can be broken. Yes. We don't have to have a usual structure. The song can go on and have noise. Yep. And it's music. And it just felt so, it felt so against the norm. And then like, I lived in New Jersey and I used to, mom, I used to sneak out and take the train to New York and I saw Sonic Youth at Irving Plaza. Amazing. You know, like it was just, eye-opening. Yeah. Eye-opening. That's incredible. Now you had an alternate as well of your records. Do you want to mention that one at all? Sure. Yes. Okay, so like that also came from my father. Yeah. He was just a huge music collector. He had a huge vinyl collection. He's no longer with us, but so he loved David Bowie. But at the time I was introduced to David Bowie, it was the 80s. Yes. And like, so my view of David Bowie was pop. It was full pop. And I still loved David Bowie. I was like, this is cool. Yeah. Like, but then in college is where I found Ziggy Stardust. Yes. And the Spiders from Mars. And it's a really long album title. And I'm trying to remember the entire thing. You got it. They know what you're talking about. They know what you're talking about. But it was like, and that's when I found out that an album could be like a piece of art, right? Yes. It is a personality that wasn't David Bowie. It was an entire makeup and outfits. And that like an album is just like this full piece of art. It comes together. It tells a story of this certain person. And like, I loved David Bowie's fashion and like, so in his hair, it was just like everything about that. And it's all wrapped around a piece of music. Yeah. And that's like, that opened the world to being a musician and an artist and to like have these ideas that, you know, you can create this piece of art. It doesn't have to be that you're a musician. It doesn't have to be that you're an artist. It's just like this piece of art, you know, and a band can be a piece of art. It's not just like a band. Right. Yeah. So like, I know we talked about Stella Star, but we met in art school and it was kind of like, that's how we met. We started as a project, as an art project, you know, and that's how I view Cheekface also. Like, including all the art that I do, it's part of this world that we created to be this piece of art, you know? Yeah. A great choice. And I had a similar experience with Bowie as well. When I'm a kid, he's wearing suits. He looks very buttoned up. He doesn't look like a weirdo at all. He looks like a really straight-laced guy. And then it would be years later that you'd be like, oh, whoa, Bowie, androgyny, costumes, theatrics, you know, and you really learn who this man was. Yeah. And that is, I mean, Starman is probably one of my favorite Bowie songs of all time. 5 Years of Starman. Those two are my favorites on that album. So good. That album is just chock full of some of his best work. And really, again, it comes back to this art thing. I love that this keeps being a theme for Cheekface, for you as a creative, is that it's so much more than just music. It's a cohesive world that you're creating. And that's just so cool. And I even, when I was thinking, when you mentioned Goo, I was like, there is echoes of in the Cheekface art that the fact that it's a stark white background with just a design in the middle. I'm like, iconic Goo cover that we all know, you know,
so
there is that seed that was planted early on that you're like, wow, what can I do with white space with an image?
The negative space, white space is just as important as the busy space, and that's like rhythm, right? Sorry.
You are on the show of geeking out about stuff like that. You are in the temple of music geekdom here, and art geekdom. The entire reason this show exists is because we were like, remember that part where the song goes like this, and then you open the liner notes, and you're like, wow. I've made a career out of this stuff. So all right, well, those are fantastic choices, and thank you for sharing. And all right, Greg, it's your turn.
Okay, well,
we've got a couple to go with here.
I have so many. I think just being a music nerd, and especially in for a formative point in your life, the records, they change your life so quickly because you uncover an entire new genre.
Totally.
You hear one of the greatest records ever made, but it's new to you, and you're like, holy shit, this is out there.
Yes.
And I never would have thought of it, and it's completely turned my world upside down. And it's just an impressionable music nerd from ages 12 to 22. That happened to me every couple of months.
Yes.
So it was just an insane amount. And honestly, to nod back to stuff you guys said, the CDR era, I was in the generation of I was probably the youngest Napster user.
Yes.
And so I had CD wallets that were this thick of music I stole from the internet. And when records, when you don't have to ask your parents, can I have $25 to go to Best Buy and buy something off the shelf, and you can just discover anything and have it for quote unquote free. Echo was my sister gave me a CDR, and I was just CDRs, without them, where would I have been?
You're gonna get arrested, buddy. I mean, Lars Ulrich listens to this show.
The sooner the better. Take me, Lars. And also the Columbia House thing, Mandy, because when I was in college, and I started to get into hip hop, I just signed up for all of those things where you pay $1 and they send you 20 CDs and they hope that you don't cancel. And I signed up, for all of those. I'd unsubscribe, I'd resubscribe to get the dollar deal again. And I got 50 or 60 hip hop CDs right when I was starting college, and then educated myself. I literally went to AllMusic, looked at their list of greatest hip hop albums of all time. So, it was Nation of Millions, Ready to Die, Illmatic, blah, blah, blah. Just filled up my dorm with all of these Columbia House CDs.
I love it.
And just was eyeballs deep in the greatest rap records of all time. So I mean, you guys really unlocked memories of eras of life.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, one for sure of my waterproof records is honestly any of the first 4 Metallica records. But I definitely thought of Ride the Lightning.
On display. I was so happy you chose this one because this is a big one.
Huge.
Big record.
Huge. And honestly, it could have been any of the first 4 of them, but but I had the CDR.
Sorry, Lars.
Of
Ride the Lightning that I hand decorated with Sharpie with little lightning bolts, and that
amazing.
From from ages 12 to 18, when I moved out of and went to college, that CDR was just it rotated a lot. And I think of myself as a guitar player and as someone who was starting to play guitar when I was 12. It was one of those things where it's just I was learning. I started with the Green Day songs that are 3 chords,
right?
But then as you kind of explore all the things that are possible with the instrument, you're looking for what do people do with the instrument, and talk to any guitar player and they will point to at least a Metallica song where they're oh, that riff or that solo or that technique or the way that that moves. And if you learn a lot of metal songs, you learn pretty much all the guitar techniques. That's they're all in metal songs, and Ride the Lightning in particular, like just in the first couple songs, it's like you have finger-picked 12-string guitar, you have these marvelous Fantasia solos that like they're partly blues but they're partly Bach, like there's like the figures are so clever and so thoughtful, the riffs are so fucking epic,
dude, I'm geeking out so hard right now. Just in your description, I'm like, I'm back there, I'm hearing the bells,
and like no, literally like and like also like the the interplay between like there'll be those moments where like a guitar chord rings out and then the drums answer, like without like anything else happening. There's just like like it's like so yes, so sick, and it's just like there's just I don't even know, like I spent so long like in front of like guitar tabs online trying to get every note in the Fade to Black solos. Like this is before I discovered girls or having a girlfriend, like like just trying to get like all of the little techniques and all of that, just like and then like also like the start to like how I like record music, how like I got started, because like I'm also I think like in the youngest generation of people who could like fire up a computer and then record themselves like in the living room, and like or the first generation of people who were doing that as kids, as literal kids. Right. Like it was like, oh, can I play the rhythm parts from Fade to Black, and then can I do the solos like on top of them? And then also like the the global fan culture for a band that big like is really large, and this is also like in the dawn of the social internet, so there's all these forums of these fan forums, and this is true for like a lot of the famous bands that I liked when I was really, really young. But yeah, I mean, you're like, you fall into these fan forums where the like velocity of nerddom is like an extremely high pace. Totally. And so you're like, oh, we're all going to post our covers of the Fade to Black intro solo and see who got it closest, who sounds the best, whose articulations are the best, and just like that's kind of stuff, like it really helps you understand how to be a music fan, what it is to be a music fan. And also like this was like not at all my parents' music, like my parents' music taste, like their interest in new music like ended long before like metal records, like even though like this like the greatest Metallica albums came out before I was born, but it was like it was something where it's like it was just different. It was something that like I didn't have metalheads in my family. Like I had a couple in my friend group, but it was really like, getting engaged with like online music nerd culture and fan culture that like really steeped me, especially in the Metallica stuff. But one thing that was interesting is like, as I was thinking about this, I started reading like the Wikipedia on Ride the Lightning, and there's so little of the actual like behind the scenes lore that I was familiar with, because I knew this record as a guitar record. Like the songs are awesome, the songs are catchy, like that was a big part of it too, but like mainly it was just like this was like the guitar playing, the art itself, like the music itself, like that was all I knew about it, and still like honestly till like a few days ago still the only thing I knew about it. Like anytime we go to band practice, I pick up the guitar and I play riffs from Ride the Lightning, like the Creeping Death riff or whatever, like the intro riff, like
it's a great warm up.
I mean it's just like it's like there's some sounds with guitar where it's like the instrument just sounds great like that, like you can fight really hard to make a unique sound, but there's also sounds that like that like you pick it up and it sounds good like that. And like blues is one of those things, right? It's like why does everybody play a freaking blues riff? It's because like the instrument sounds really good when you do that. You don't have to be a great guitar player to make the instrument sound good when you're like bending those blue notes. And like also open E like metal riffs that are just chugging
Just
on
chugging.
the bottom
Yeah.
strings.
Palm mute.
Yeah.
It just sounds good.
It just sounds good, and you don't have to be fantastic for that to sound fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I think that's also a big part of like how I approach playing guitar is like, you know, like that is cooked into it, is that like, you know, like we don't use alternate tunings or anything like that. It's like there's so many fucking, like the first 5 Metallica albums have so many awesome ideas, so many awesome riffs. They're all in standard tuning.
They're all in standard tuning.
Like, you know, there's so many fantastic solos. There's so many amazing harmonies. Like, and it's all just like E, A, D, G, B, E. Like, you know, nothing crazy, because they were like, we're going to lock in on what makes the instrument sound really good.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, there's some things where the instrument sounds really good. Playing an F major bar chord, it sounds like shit. Like, so, you know, if you want the instrument to sound like shit, play a F major bar chord. Even if you're the best guitar player in the world, that's just not a thing that sounds good on guitar. Any guitar player watching this will know what I'm talking about.
Wait for the comments. Like, oh yeah.
But like, you know, but there are like sweet spots on the neck, and like it's not just like, obviously like the open E, the bending blues notes, like are, you know, those are things that sound really sweet. Also, I think like when you listen to like Nile Rodgers is really in tune with like where on the neck, what combinations of notes just naturally sound really good. And like, so I think that's like something that not out of like my earliest listening that like I, you know, bring into like our writing a lot. It's just like, you know, the color of like the middle notes on the neck, the chords that don't use the lowest strings, like that has like a really sweet sound to it. And like, you know, you don't have to think hard about like how to make it sound like that. You just play like Nile Rodgers and all of a sudden it sounds like that and it's awesome. You know, and so yeah, what was I talking about again?
Ride the lightning.
Ride the lightning. So fucking ride the lightning.
Fucking ride the lightning.
Fucking ride the lightning. The CDR with the blue bottom with the little lightning bolts I drew on it.
Yeah.
And also like, can we just say in retrospect, like again, like I was in this early era of like file sharing, of music wants to be free, quote unquote, air quotes, scare quotes.
Right.
Like where it was just like, you know, the only way to get music was on a CD. CD cost $23, and, you know, like at the turn of the millennium, $23 was a lot.
Yes.
Like when you think about inflation now, and you're like, you go to whatever the restaurant and you get the slop bowl for $23, and you're like, fuck, $23 is a lot.
Right.
But at that point, $23 was even more.
It was way more.
And it was like, that was the only way to listen. So like, yes, I like completely understand why like music fans are like, we are being extorted to hear one song that we want to hear, and it costs us so much fucking money.
Yeah.
But Lars was right. We all need to just accept it and embrace it. Lars, I'm talking to camera. Wait, which camera should I talk to?
Yeah, there's so many cameras.
Right there. Yeah. Lars.
Clip this because it'll go viral as fuck. Lars was right. Lars was right. Lars was right about stealing music. And we all know it now. Like the internet discourse about musicians don't get paid enough. Everyone makes money except the musicians. And like, and when the consumer pays nothing for music, nothing goes back to the people who create it. Like, he was right. He was right. Lars was right. Was he a dick? Was he a douchebag? Was his dad right to make fun of him? Yeah.
Oh no.
But was he right that stealing music is bad for musicians? And when people pay nothing for music, it erodes the ability of artists to make music. Yes. Lars was right.
Hold for Lars Ulrich to have a single tear as he's watching this clip, as decades of just validation rush over him, no matter that we're teasing him a little bit.
Lars is like, stitch incoming.
Yeah, stitch incoming. I gotta talk about this. Oh my god, that's amazing. Yeah,
and also as bad as his drumming is on Ride the Lightning, and it is bad.
Oh no, now we lost Lars Ulrich. He's turned off the channel.
No, let me get where I'm going. You can hear already on that album, like even though the fills are really loose, and they are so loose, like that, like the band is really locked together, and the way that he plays and the way that the guitars work and the bass works, they are really synced up.
Yeah.
And so like as a listener, as a fan, like it's like listening to the Beatles and people are like, oh, Ringo's a bad drummer or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, but like the way it the way it gels, it feels so good. It feels so natural. It doesn't feel like bad drummer plus good band. Like it feels like this one unit that sees everything the same way, that has like a complete vision and everyone's playing into it. Yeah. And like the playing of everyone is locked into everyone else and it feels really musical. Yeah. So that is my backhanded defense of Lars's drumming as well.
There you go.
So
there you go.
One, his economics were right. Two, his drumming, as bad as it is, it works.
Ride the Lightning is an incredible and very important album to me because I was also 12 years old, got my first guitar, and I kind of had the reverse situation, which was I was into Metallica, Megadeth, all that, and I was so overwhelmed because when you're 12 and you pick up the guitar for the first time, and that's where I'm supposed to go, I had the Guitar World magazines, and I would be overwhelmed by going through Ride the Lightning and like
all
looking at the
solos in the back, bro.
And I was like, oh my God, how does anybody ever play this? And so what was so great is that the grunge explosion was a whew, because literally you had like guys doing these power chords, these bar chords, and showing that great songwriting could prevail over lack of chops, right? Yes. So you could learn how to play an instrument and not be a virtuoso. And so, but it was still, I love that to this day you sit down and still play those riffs, and that album is just absolutely incredible.
Yeah, I mean, and like the guitar playing on Ride the Lightning is really good, but it's also not virtuoso level guitar playing. Yeah, like I think when you listen to like Countdown to Extinction or like Rust in Peace, like those Megadeth records with Marty Friedman on them,
Friedman,
I mean, like that playing is virtuoso playing, and that's like something that like, no matter how hard you practice, you'll probably never get there because it is just like so completely mastered.
Sweet picks, man.
Yeah,
so
and also
good.
his touch. It's so light.
Good. It's light.
It's so beautiful.
Sorry, we have lost them. They're just like we're going on a total shredder rampage.
They're waterproof for a reason. They're waterproof for a reason.
All right, so let's.
But you know, that's like I'll never get there. You'll never get there. We'll never get. No one watching this will ever get there. Do not come in the comments being like, watch me sweet pick the Hangar 18 solo. Like don't right. Like but yeah, like but the Ride the Lightning solos, like as difficult as they are, and they are difficult, they don't require virtuoso playing. They just require you to sit down with the figures and learn them and figure them out, and they are like very musical. Like a lot of the sequences work in a very logical way. Like there's not like a lot of screaming wanking solos. There's like they're busy, there's a lot of notes, but like there are like, once you get that shape down, you see how that shape moves up and down the neck, and then it's like, oh, okay, I'm just moving that shape down 2 frets. Now I'm moving it down 1 fret. Now I'm moving it down 2 frets again. Now I'm moving it up 1 fret. Like it's like, okay, that is musical. Like that's in Bach. Like you know, that's not like something that's crazy out there, wicked, requires you to go to Juilliard, requires you to be Marty Friedman. Yeah. Like, no, like that. And that's one of the things that like I love Megadeth too.
But like, Megadeth is Rust in Peace is my favorite metal album of all time.
Okay, I mean that's a legit point of view.
Come on.
I personally, I'm more of a Countdown to Extinction guy.
It's just because of our difference in age.
Okay,
that's why.
Probably right.
So it has to do with like how old I was when I heard, and that's why things always. Whenever somebody says this album is better than that, I'm always like, no, you can't claim that because it's the age you are, what's going on when you get the album.
Yeah, I mean, there's that to it. And I mean, there's like my friend Peter in high school, and he was like really into sweating bullets from Countdown to Extinction. So that was like my entry into that record. Yeah.
Hello, me. Meet the real me in my misfits way of life. My dark black past is my most valued possession.
Like.
We're all going into full Beavis mode. All you have to do is just listen to me. Totally. So we spent a good time geeking out as the other two and Cheekface have just listened to us go on and on about Ride the Lightning. You did have 2 other albums. Do you want to just touch on those briefly?
Yeah. And like, stop me if I go on too long. One of them is the Blue Album. Yeah. Which like I'm curious how many people have mentioned that in here.
It has come up a good few times. Good. I would say only maybe like 2 times, but lead singer of the Dirty Nil, Luke Bentham, he chose that one. And I feel like it was also referred to on the Teen Mortgage episode as well. So there's just, you can't deny the fact that it's songwriting, you know, the catchy songwriting.
But also the guitar riffs.
Oh, yeah.
The solos, bro.
Oh, I know.
Solos.
Rivers, and the tone of that album sounds so good. Rick Ocasek.
Yeah,
you know, it's just
the production is nailed.
It's just
I mean, you know, they're classics for a reason.
They are classics for a reason.
But yeah, that one was one where like I got the CD, like all these, like that record also was like already old when I got into it. But like, sorry,
it's okay.
And but like, so it was in like the $8 bin,
sure,
at like Tower Records. So I was like, okay, this is $8. Like I've heard.
Well, you're old enough to be in a Tower Records, so there's that.
No, I'm
just kidding.
Hey, I'm not beating the old allegations. But yeah, so like, you know, it was already the $8 bin, and I looked at the track list and I was like, oh, the sweater song, that's got to be that song I know from the radio.
Yeah.
$8, let me give this a shot. And then you put it on, you're like, oh, I know a lot of these songs from the radio actually.
Yes.
And also like Say It Ain't So is by the same band.
Yes. Amazing.
Sorry.
Which like, and then so I got into it, like I started learning some of the stuff on guitar, and then like I got to high school and I was playing in the marching band, and like, you know, the older kids in the marching band are like the serious music nerds, but like the cool music nerds, like the punk kids, the indie rock kids, and you know, they of course they give you the like, you know, the third degree of like, oh, you like that band, name 3 songs,
totally,
like, type shit.
And
like, yeah, that was one where it was like, oh, like, well, yeah, I mean, I like that Weezer album, the Blue album, and they're like, oh, you're all right.
You're all right. You're cool.
Yeah.
Their debut.
You're cool enough to be in the marching band. You're cool enough
the
to be
bar is real high of coolness in the marching band. We all know that.
You have reached the bar of being a chubby, pimply tuba player in the marching band. You can be one of us.
You can hang with us.
Yeah.
And our lack of girlfriends.
Yeah.
Don't forget to mention that you listen to ska.
Yes.
Say It Ain't So is ska.
Yeah. It does do the upstrokes for sure.
Does,
it's like a slow down. Yeah,
it's like just a halftime ska song.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was also like I can go on and on about the music. I won't, because we already did that. I can sing all the riffs and I want. I could play all the riffs. I could grab a guitar and play the album straight through from memory if you like. But we don't have to do that right now.
We won't do that this time.
Greg likes to do that.
But when you come back, when I've got this set up like tiny desk, and we can do like a little mini concert, then we'll do a Weezer cover episode.
But I did want to flag that thing about like being cool enough for the tuba players in the marching band for the older, because there is like coolness stratification in the high school marching band,
100%,
where it's like there's the drummers. Like, not the cymbal players, but the rest of the drummers in the marching band, and they're like, Echo knows.
I know. Yeah.
Echo's in the marching band.
Drummers in the marching band are cool.
In every marching band, they're way cooler. They're just like way up there.
You can have like a death metal fan who's in the marching band who's a drummer. Like they can hide out amongst there. You know, you look at the band picture and like, that dude has really black hair. You know what I mean?
And his gauges.
And he's got gauges.
They're crazy.
Yeah, and he's got a tattoo and he's 16. What the hell?
You know.
I know.
Yeah. So there was like, you know, that coolness stratification. This is the brass players underneath that.
Yeah.
You know, like, I mean, like, yeah, like the trumpet players, the trombone players, like even the tuba players to a degree. And then we're going into woodwinds and mallet percussion. And it's like, yes, the sax players, especially the bari players, they're like up there. Like they're still like third tier. Yeah. Like, but they're you know, they're in there. But then like you go down further to like, okay, the flute players, they're like, they can hang. Like,
I love this. I love this breakdown of band coolness. This is great. There needs to be a chart.
Then we're down to like mallet percussion, and then we're down to clarinets.
Yeah.
And then the orchestra. Sorry.
Yeah.
Just had to say it.
I love it. I love it.
They're like under everyone.
No, I mean, you know, orchestra's not in the marching band.
Not in the marching band. For a reason. Totally different crews. They're rival gangs in some ways.
Yeah.
Snapping like sharks and jets on the playground. You know, like.
Yeah, and the cymbal players are down there towards the bottom too.
And I was in musical theater, by the way, guys, which is a whole other arena.
Let's go.
I was in show choir and musical theater, so I was in that crew. I wasn't even in band or orchestra. I was over there.
Oh man!
And nobody shared my musical taste. Like I didn't even have anybody. It was all show tunes, baby.
Yes.
And so like I liked that as well, but nobody was jamming on like what I was into. So what's so fun for me is they were all like, Jacob was the only one who had any awareness. And I was like, it's just because we were in theater, guys. Like, if you went over to the marching band kids or the orchestra kids, they know what's up.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And yeah, I guess like what was the other one I flagged to mention was We Were the Only Friends That We Have by Piebald.
Yes.
And Piebald was like, they were one of those first indie bands. Like I liked local bands. Like I've always liked local bands from when I started getting into music. Just like the bands around the neighborhood, the bands from in town where you'd see them every weekend or every month.
And that's a description of Cheekface, America's local band.
It's our adopted tagline.
Yeah, so I think it's worth mentioning to my audience that's your tagline, but it has an origin for this.
Yeah, I mean, like, we can go into the exact origin of the tagline, but I guess to complete the thought on loving local bands, like, you know, that I liked all these local indie bands, and then Piebald was one where like they came through town, they were on a bill like between a bunch of local bands, like you know, in the way that like, hey, there's a show and we're putting a touring band in the middle of all local bands. I saw them at Chain Reaction in Orange County, the like all ages mecca of Orange County, which just closed recently, and like not to a lot of people, and I thought they were really awesome. And then they put out that album not long after, and like the 800-pound gorilla of that album is American Hearts, which like, you know, which really does transcend like the band themselves, and like kind of is, I feel like you'd call it an emo touchstone, even though it's not really an emo song.
But I know what you're saying.
But like inside the emo scene, it was a song that like everyone knew and still everyone knows. Yeah. Like when I went to that Best Friends Forever festival a couple years ago.
I was there, and I was going to mention this. That was my first time seeing Piebald live, and I immediately got them more than I ever had before seeing them live. I was at Best Friends Forever watching Piebald, and I was like, oh shit, I get it.
Yeah, and like that was like the moment they went into that song with it drops in the chorus right at the beginning.
It was huge.
Hey, you're part of it. Like that's like, you know, with like 3,000 or 4,000 people deep, like that was like the biggest moment of the festival. I felt like
it was huge.
Like it was crazy. Huge. It was like that could have been like starting Stairway to Heaven or something, like, or Hotel California.
I love that we were both there. I could have looked over and seen you there.
We're probably right next to each other, just crying and screaming and throwing up.
I cried so much at Best Friends Forever 1 and 2. That is my favorite festival because it is filled with the most emotional adults ever. Like it's all, you know what I mean? Like I was just at that, like it's not happening this year. I was at the one last year, and I saw the band Elliot for the first time, and they did Shallow Like Your Breath. I was like, I had so many tears, and all these big dudes around me were like touching me on the shoulder and like, it's okay, man, it's okay, like hugging me. And I was like, I love this so much. I love this. This is like the most feeling festival ever. Hell yeah. But Piebald, yes.
Yeah, so like, and I saw him a lot of times after that, and like that album is so cool. Like one of the things one of my friends pointed out while I was in high school is like, did you notice every single lyric on this album is a complete sentence? Wow. And I'm like, whoa. Andy went back to school. He got sick of Newbery Comics from the very first line.
Oh, yeah.
Like every lyric is a complete sentence, and that is a different way to write a song because most songs are not written like that, even really great songs. And so, like, you know, I think that like feeds into like how we approach lyrics is like say something, say a thought, and we're not like always on complete sentences, but a lot of times we are on complete sentences in a way that like, you know, like if you're trying to write the thing that you sing most naturally, you wouldn't write it. But like to say a complete thought, like, you know, it scans different as you hear it. And so that's like definitely a direct influence carried directly from that album. And yeah, it's just a really special record, and it also like taps into a lot of local scene lore. In the course of it, like about working your day job, about the other people in the scene working their day jobs, like, you know, and also it's just catchy front to back. It is, you know, in a like, in a slightly different parallel universe, they would have been Newfound Glory.
Yeah.
You know, like there's nothing catchier about Newfound Glory or more pop friendly or more immediate about like what Newfound Glory did that took them to like the literal peak of the pop charts and the multi-platinum records and they still tour gigantic halls. Like we're always playing like the little 300-400 cap hall underneath the place that Newfound Glory is playing, like the 3,000 cap room. Like, you know, and it's like in like just a ever so slightly different universe, like that's piebald. Like it takes no effort to get what is so special about it and so immediate about it and so cool about it. And it also gives such a sense of place. It also is one of those records that put me onto how important Boston is. In like indie music and DIY music in that part of culture, and like them and Cave-In, which I got into around the same time.
Yes.
Bro, Jupiter, bro.
Yes.
Anyways, we could do a whole nother episode on Jupiter, but yeah, like, you know, that was like, oh, with those two bands, I was like, oh, if it's from Boston, it's different, it's better. Like, it's more thoughtful, it's cooler, it's crafted better. And now anytime anything is from Boston, I'm always like, all right, like that gets a second listen because it's from Boston.
Yeah.
Because there's Boston, they do it different in Boston.
Yeah, there's some angry chord inside of every Bostonian, I think. There's something in there. There's an energy that is specifically that scene, for sure.
Totally.
Sure. Those are all killer choices. I've loved every one of your choices. They've been amazing. And what's so fun about this is I've seen all three of you explore your inner geek, your childhood music nerd that went back and found the thing, and that was the point, that was the goal.
I appreciate you liking all of them.
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity.
Oh no!
Do you have people who sit on the couch and you're like, you like that garbage? Like, do you ever go like full Subway takes and are like,
100% disagree.
No. It's funny because I mean, there's definitely there's people that have said something that I'm just not as familiar with. So I always ask the guests, like, please let me know in advance, because I would hate to hear a record that they say that I'm like, I have no knowledge of this. I have no experience. I've never listened to it, because where's the conversation going to go? So I want to be able to just check it. And as I read all yours, I was like, oh, I know all these. Well, and there's something to that, is that we're cut from the same cloth in some way. We have similar tastes, and a lot of times that seems to be the case, but every now and then there will be an album that I go, I don't know it very well, so I'm going to listen to it once or twice before the guest comes on, understand it a little bit more, but it does always tell me something about them. But I have gotten rid of all of my 90s gatekeeping and hate. It's all gone. I don't do that anymore. Like when we were teenagers back then, I don't know if this existed much when you were growing up, but hate was like a big thing of being a music fan. Like you hated on shit, and you were very vocal about it. You were very like, oh, that sucks. Yeah. And at my age now, I have released all of that. I have completely, like, if somebody comes in the comments and they're like, they hate on something that I'm sharing, or they say you should make a video about the bands that you think suck, or like make a video about how much, you know, insert publicly hated on band here. And I'm always like, nah, there's plenty of people. First of all, there's channels that they are critics. I am not a critic at all. I am not Anthony. You know, I don't come on, you know, exactly like Fantano. He's great. I love him. He's great. But that's what he does. And there's so many other people that their job is to dig in to what's good, what's bad, what they like, what they don't like. And somewhere along the way, I just was like, my tagline for myself, you guys have taglines, is I'm a music lover, not a critic. And so the whole point is I'm just going to spend my rest of my time on Earth only talking about things that I love. And if somebody comes to me with something that literally my brain goes back to 95 and I'm like, that sucks, I will not say anything. I won't say a goddamn thing, because somebody will share things with me that I'm like, that's okay. But I've let go. I've released. And I think I'll live longer because I really do.
That's, for me, I'm the same. Yeah. It's kind of like, as a teenager, I thought I was so cool for all the hate against music. And it's like, I got to a place where I was like, no, it's like, if it's bringing someone joy,
Totally.
like why am I hating on this?
Why am I hating on it?
Yeah, and I've gone the opposite, and I've like fully like loved some music that I absolutely hated as a high schooler. I was like, no, this is a really good song.
Totally.
You know, wow, I can understand why this is so catchy and how so many people loved it. And like, actually, you know, I don't want to say it, but like, I think the more you judge, you know, the more you judge.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's better to just like realize that like, hey, music is a positive thing most of the time. And like, you know, let people enjoy.
Let people enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I'm, of course, have a critical ear and have things that you don't enjoy. I just think the interesting thing is I'm finding that there's plenty of things in this world that cause our heart to hurt. There's plenty. There's a lot. And so I you know, there are people out there that they find so much joy and happiness and escape in art that I don't understand. There's pieces of music that I don't understand. And so I never want to take that away from somebody or shit talk it. And that's just my ethos. But by all means, there are channels and people that put things out there, and their job is to dissect. And if that's something that people enjoy, then you enjoy it. That brings you happiness too.
Wow.
So.
Society of Content Creators went to therapy.
Yes, exactly. Absolutely. Well, and I have touched on this a few times. I don't ever really put anything negative out there, but I have recently spoken up about that issue in particular because it comes up all the time, hating on music.
I enjoy being a hater.
Yeah, and totally, and that's your right. And sometimes friendships and bonds are made over mutually hating on something.
And you know, also like if you spend 7 hours a day in a van, you will eventually reach the point in the conversation where you're just like, you know what I really hate?
Totally.
You know what band I can't stand?
And actually,
you know what album everyone likes that is actually garbage?
And actually, I think that's great. And if I was with you guys in the van, I would share all the things too. But on these cameras, no, because there are things that I don't like. There are things that I hate. But that's reserved for me and a beer, with some friends. That's reserved for my inner community of like people that know me and know my heart. And I can say like, oh yeah, that sucks. Like I have best friends on text messages, it'll be like, "Did you hear this blows?" And I will absolutely be like, "It does," but nobody's ever gonna see that. Nobody's ever gonna see that. That's my life.
Wow. We need the Wario version of you. That's all in inverted colors.
Yeah, that would be interesting. Negative. That would be interesting. There needs to be a Wario version, like a Jacob, After Dark, where it's like it's just not safe. He's just vulgar. It's awful. It's nothing wholesome about Wario Jacob. But to close things out, I feel like we could talk forever. You guys are a blast, and this has been so fun. And you have a new record coming out, Podium, and that's the end of July.
Yes, July 28th. Depending when you're watching this, it's either coming out soon or it's out now.
It'll be before then. Then. So they'll know to look for it, and I'll make sure to link all the places that people can find you. But also tour.
We'll be on tour starting in August, doing the US, a little tiny bit of Canada. We'll get out to the UK before the end of the year, I think, too. We haven't announced that as of when we're taping this. Maybe we'll have announced it by the time it's published.
Yeah.
So we'll be on the road. We love the show. We love being out there. We love meeting the Cheek Freaks.
Cheek Freaks. This is what I started. This is the fan name, the nickname of the Cheek Freaks.
Yes. One day somebody tweeted, you can call us Cheek Freaks, and that has stuck.
That was it.
I'm like, okay, we're calling you Cheek Freaks now.
And hopefully the search of that phrase wins out on other things that you might get on the internet.
You know what? It's all it all belongs together on the internet.
It does. We are one with all the Cheek Freaks.
Yes, exactly.
It's a part of this world. It's fine.
Yes. We all have to live in it. We're all here. No, so you're on tour, and so I do hope that if there's an LA show, I definitely want to come out and see you guys.
We'll be here in LA at the end of October.
Awesome.
Playing the Teragram with the band Waitress.
Oh
it's gonna be banger show. So
Teragram's a good space.
Yeah. We played there once before. It was fucking awesome. So we know it'll be awesome again.
I was just there seeing Texas Is the Reason.
Oh, nice.
At that show.
Nice.
It was a great show.
Go.
Yeah, right. I know my emo. But anyway, is there anything else that the audience should know about Cheekface and like what they should be looking at for you guys coming up on the horizon? Album, tour, how to find you?
I think like, hey, you already know how hot we are because you've been watching this.
Yes. Very attractive.
And Echo, is there anything else you want to share?
Yeah, Echo.
Don't forget sunscreen.
Don't forget sunscreen.
But
Very,
it's not,
very, very good
That's
point.
not doctor's advice. It's Echo's advice.
Just you can ditch the complicated skincare routine. Just sunscreen.
Sunscreen. Okay.
Could not be me.
Yeah, no, I have a very complicated skincare routine.
Yes. Well, thank you guys so much for coming to Waterproof Records.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you for having us.
It was a pleasure, you guys. This has been really fun. I'll tell you, having 3 people to talk to really does change the dynamic of a podcast. You know what I mean? It's like normally it's like a one-on-one conversation talking about things, but this felt like I literally felt like we could have rolled the camera for 3 hours. It just been, and then eventually I would have been like, let's put something on. And let's listen to, let me grab my guitars and let's just like, hey, can
you go full Rick Beato?
Yeah, I know. I feel like that's where I'm headed. I feel like I'm headed that way
for me.
I feel like I want Rick Beato one day to be like, Jacob, it's your time. Like he'll you know what I mean? Thank you guys. Thank you, Cheekface. I'm so glad for all of you that tuned in and maybe discovered me because you're a fan of Cheekface and you're hearing my podcast for the first time. Or if you're one of my audience and you're learning about Cheekface, I think you should definitely check them out. Go see them live if they're touring through your city. I think it's going to be a great show. I'm looking forward to seeing them. And of course, they mentioned their new album, which releases at the end of July, Podium. So go check out their catalog, check out their stuff, support the band, support music, America's local band. That's what their tagline is, which we didn't get to dig into more about how that came about, but we got the gist of it, and it was a good conversation. But Greg, Mandy, and Echo, what a blast. I am so happy to know you and to now be more familiar with your catalog of music and excited to see where you go next. And I'm just so thankful that we had that awesome conversation. And thank you for my Cheekface hat. I love it so much. Here, I'm going to grab it, actually. I've got to, of course, tell you about Pantheon Podcast. Pantheon Podcast is this huge network of podcasts, and I'm part of it, and they have so many amazing music podcasts out there, and I'm grateful to be a part of it. So thank you, Pantheon Podcast. You're the one that's sharing my show with the rest of the world, and I am so grateful. So make sure you check out other channels and podcasts on Pantheon Podcast, and but always make Waterproof Records your number one. All right. And then also before we get out of here, of course, reminding you about distrokid.com/VIP/waterproof. Use that link, save 30%. Once again, thank you for joining me on Waterproof Records. I've been your host, Jacob Givens. I'll see you next time.
Things are gonna change. I can feel it.
If this gonna be that kind of party, I'm gonna
Waterproof Records. Waterproof Records.